Hey guys, Hayden here again from Alarm System Store, and today we are going to be enrolling some wireless devices to our IQ Pro panel. If you guys do need help getting into like the installer app or any other assistance with the IQ Pro panel, check below in the description. There is a playlist for all of our IQ Pro videos. The very first one goes over how to use the app, how to get logged in, the installer wizard, all that. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and jump right in because I already have the app pulled up. You do have to sign into the app using either the installer code or the dealer code to be able to add wireless devices. So once you get this pulled up, enter your installer or dealer code, and then you're just going to go to the dashboard. Now you can enroll wireless devices through the install wizard if you want to. You just have to get through it until you get to the security section, and then you'll basically see what we're about to pull up here. If you're in the app like I am, however, just click the arrow on the core bus, or if you have anything else PowerG already, you can just hit the arrow button there. It'll pull up the security sensors tab. Quick note, the installer wizard section that looks like this just says security at the top. It doesn't say security sensors. They work exactly the same though. So anyway, to enroll a wireless device, basically all you got to do, click this plus button down here in the bottom right. It's going to ask you if you want to turn on the auto learn or manually enroll PowerG. Now, I'll show you guys at the end of this how to manually enroll PowerG. However, I highly recommend always doing the auto learn because that forces the sensors to make a connection to the panel so that you don't have any troubles once you back out of the programming and you go to like start up your system for real. So click on auto learn, click start auto learn, and basically that puts the panel into auto learn mode. So now it is ready to accept wireless device enrollments. So first one we're going to do is a PG9945. Now this is just a standard door contact. This one does have an auxiliary input if you want to use a additional wired sensor with it. But the way you trigger this device is this little brown button right here. So you hold this down, a yellow LED is going to come on, and then once it does, you just let go of the button and it enrolls the device. So hold that down, and it's kind of hard to see, but there's a yellow LED. Let it go, and then just a couple seconds later, it popped up on the IQ Pro. So always check your device IDs right there. The device ID on the 9945 is underneath the battery, so it's kind of hard to see sometimes, but it's sticking out there just fine for this one. As long as that is the correct ID, you can just button up your sensor, and then everything else is going to be done in the app. So once I get this tightened up, we will move on. All right, so this is ready. So you just click add, and it's going to basically enroll the device to the system. However, you are going to have to configure it. So we'll go over that in just a minute. However, I'm going to go over these other two devices real quick as well. So this is a PG9936 smoke detector. These enroll a bit differently, whereas like door contacts and a lot of other sensors have an enrollment button. Smoke detectors actually are automatically enroll when they power up. So once I put this last battery in, it's going to boot the device up and it's going to beep, and it should enroll itself into the panel. As long as the batteries are good, then we should be good to go. There it goes, and as I said, it automatically enrolled itself. So just go ahead and click add. As I mentioned, make sure you check the device ID. On these smokes, it's a little hard to see, but basically your device ID is right underneath the battery compartment. It says S-ID : and then it's got the 2024081. So that one is good to go. So click add, and we'll configure it here in a minute. And then I also wanted to do a Keyfob. Keyfobs present a lot of problems for people that are unfamiliar with enrolling devices and working with this kind of stuff frequently. However, it follows the same principle as holding the button down on a sensor like the 9945. However, you hold down the panic button here. Now, what confuses people is the yellow LED is going to flash twice. In the manual for these it says only once, but watch here. So I'm holding it now, and you'll see the LED flash once, but you have to keep holding it until the next set of LED comes up, and then once that happens, then you let go of the button, and then it will enroll itself. Now, Keyfobs are a little bit different in terms of how they enroll to panels. Sometimes it can take a couple tries to get them to properly enroll. The timing is kind of picky on when you release the button. So usually what I do, as soon as I see that yellow button, wait about half a second and then release the button, and it works most of the time for me. Sometimes I have to do it 2 or 3 times though, so don't get frustrated if it doesn't work right away, just keep trying. Make sure you wait till that second LED comes up though. Check your ID. As long as it's good, then just click add. And now we're going to configure the devices. Now, this is going to be a little bit different for everybody depending on how you're setting up your sensors. I'm going to go through and I'm going to show like a standard setup for a door, a smoke, and a Keyfob, but just know this is where you kind of have the option of setting these devices however you want. Smoke detectors really only work one way. Anyway, to configure them, just click the arrow next to the name of the sensor. So under the configuration, you'll see that the sensor type is set to door and window. That is what we're using this for, so you can leave that as is. You can adjust that. I don't know why you would, but maybe if you're using the auxiliary input, instead of setting this as specifically a door or window contact, you set it as whatever the device you have connected to it is. Generally, you're going to use door and window contacts though. So anyway, under sensor type, just leave that as door and window. Under the sensor name, you can set this however you want. So if we're using this for the front door, it has a bunch of pre-configured names, so you can just click front door right there. Click the back arrow and it will save that there. Under sensor group, this is where you decide how the device is going to act. So your entry and exit, normal and long delays are your entry zones. So like your front door, you're going to come in your front door, open the door, it's going to trigger the entry delay for the panel. So that's going to give you time to walk in and disarm your system. Either the normal or long delay can be used for that purpose. However, instant perimeter, D/W, is what you would use for windows or doors that you do not plan to use as an entry. So let's say you have a back door that you never come in, it's only for getting into your backyard and so on and so forth. You can set that one as instant, and whenever that door is triggered, it's going to automatically set the alarm off as long as the system is armed. So set that how you wish. Since we're doing a front door, I'll leave it on entry exit. You can set the chime type. Chime type is basically for DSE keypads. The voice prompts are going to be for the IQ remote keypads. Leave cross zone off unless you know what you're doing and you specifically want to use a cross zone for these devices. We're not going to though. Leave bypass on because that allows you to bypass the sensor if absolutely needed. Sensor input, so you can select either read switch or the auxiliary input. So if you select one of the auxiliary inputs, you have to decide if it's normally closed, normally open, or if it's going to have an end-of-line resistor. Since we're just using the magnet, just leave it set to read switch. Now, one nice thing about 9945s is you can use the read switch with the magnet, and you can use the auxiliary input. You just have to enroll this device twice and select which sensor input you're using at any given time. We might go over that in another video, but for now, I'm just going to move on. Activation LED, that's this LED, so whenever I put a magnet to it on this side, you can see the LED came on, and it's going to flash a little bit every time the magnet is moved to and from it. So you can leave that on or turn it off. If you turn it off, it just saves some power. Click save when you're done, and that is our front door programmed. For our smoke detector, there's not much you need to configure on a smoke detector. Basically, you can set the name. So if you want to name it a specific, room, wherever it's located, you can do so. And then the sensor group is always going to be 26 smoke and heat. And that is because there's only one way a smoke detector works. It's always active, and anytime it catches smoke, it automatically triggers the alarm. That's the same for almost every smoke detector out there, but specifically these wireless ones will always follow that exact procedure. There's no real need to leave or to adjust the chime type or the voice prompts. Neither one's going to have much effect. Like I said, as soon as this is triggered, it is going to alarm the system. Perhaps the voice prompts might be nice for the IQ remote if this goes into trouble or it has a low battery, because then it will announce, hey, smoke detector 3, low battery, trouble, whatever. So just leave everything the way it is on a smoke and then just click save, and now that is the smoke detector configured. So the last thing we need to do is the key fob. So Click the arrow there. So with a key fob, all 4 buttons on this come preset to a specific thing. Basically, the unlock icon is to disarm the system, the lock is to arm away, and then the little person inside the house is to arm stay, and then your asterisk is the panic button. So you don't have to do anything with those. You can name it. So if you want this to be like, you know, Greg's key fob, you can name it that, and that way you know that anytime it's used, it'll say Greg's key fob, so on and so forth. Chime type and voice prompts don't really matter. Voice prompts, like I said, if you have a low battery or whatever, it might announce it through the IQ remote, but otherwise just click save when you're done, and that is all we have to do. Obviously, if you have more devices, then you need to keep going through and enroll them as needed, but that is the basic procedure for enrolling wireless devices. When you're done, click Stop Auto Learn, and then it's going to back up a page to here. Then you can just back out of the whole thing. Now, once we back out to the main dashboard, as you'll see under Core Bus, it's not showing those devices because the Core Bus is talking about the actual main board here. So from the dashboard, you'll have a new PowerG section. Click on that and it'll show your wireless devices. So right now it's showing that we have a tamper on the smoke. That's because I don't have it locked on the base. And then the key fob, it's not connected right now because we haven't like prompted it to do anything. Key fobs will not always show that they are connected to the panel because they don't work the same way as normal sensors do. They don't stay connected because these can go in and out of range as needed. Only time they really connect to the system is when you're actually pressing a button. So just keep that in mind. If you see this error on your devices for your key fobs, it's pretty normal. Once you prompt it, it will connect to the panel. So other than that, the only other thing I need to show you guys is how to manually enroll one of these devices. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the door contact real quick, and then I'll show you how to do the manual enrollment. So same process, you're going to go to your security sensors section. You can click the plus button there, click manual PowerG, and then it's going to ask you for the ID number. So as I mentioned before, these are also, I have a sticker on the side that show the ID, but basically the ID that it plugged in automatically before, we just have to type that in manually. So 1014197, 1014197. So as you saw, it was trying to already populate stuff. As soon as you type in that prefix, it knows that you're enrolling a 9945 basically. So same process applies though. Basically, enter your sensor name. You do have to select something, so do front door, and then set your settings the same way that we discussed a minute ago, and then once you're done, click save. Now, like I said, the only downside to this is it doesn't force the device to connect to the panel. So as you see here, we have a not networked trouble, and all that means is that the device has not connected to the system. Sometimes all you have to do is move the magnet to and from the sensor to get it to connect. However, sometimes that doesn't always work. You might need to actually take the cover off and tamper the device, because when you remove the cover on a wireless device, it sends out a tamper signal as if somebody's messing with it. On these, this little rubber button right here is your tamper. So if you get this a little bit away from the panel, click that a couple times, it should fix itself as soon as it realizes the device is connecting. And as you can see, I've sat here for 30 seconds trying to get it to connect, and it doesn't always want to do so. It can be problematic, which is why, again, I just recommend doing the auto learn, because it forces the connection between the panel and the sensor, and then you're good to go. Alright, so it figured out that where the device was, it connected to it, and it changed the trouble to a tamper condition. So that's what this yellow icon is. So now, if we put the cover back on and tighten it down, after a few seconds, it will show that it is good to go. So the blue is showing that it's open. When we put the magnet to it, now it shows perfectly fine. So just a little bit extra work if you do the manual enrollment. Personally, I don't think it's worth it. Just do the auto enroll, make it force connect, and then you're good to go. Same thing applies to all sensors. You just type in the ID, force them to connect, and then you're good. So otherwise though, that is how you enroll wireless devices. That's all you have to do for any PowerG device on your system. If you have one of the IQ Pros that has a secondary SRF card, each wireless sensor out there is going to have its own enrollment procedure. Some you literally just move the magnet to and from the device. Some there's a button you have to press. Some devices you have to tamper. Others you have to hold the panic button. So just be sure to read the manual for your sensor and see how it's designed to connect to the original panel it was made for. Follow the procedure for the sensor, but you're going to follow this procedure for the panel since we're using an IQ Pro and not, like in this case, a DSC Neo. Real quick, like I showed you a minute ago, if you want to delete a wireless device, if you decide you don't want it or you're having problems with it, you can pull up this page, click the right arrow there, and then there's a little trash can icon there at the bottom. If you click on that, it's going to ask you if you want to remove the device. Click remove, and then you're done. It'll delete it, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. So the IQ Pro is very simple when it comes to the wireless stuff. Wired can be a little bit more complicated, but we have videos on that within that playlist I mentioned down below. So anything you guys need for the IQ Pro, hopefully we should have covered by the time you get to our channel. Otherwise, that's going to do it for me on this one. If you guys have any interest in the IQ Pro or any devices for it or used with it, you can check out alarmsystemstore.com. We carry the IQ Pro, and we carry all PowerG devices, all the keypads, modules, anything you could use for the IQ Pro, we got. So check us out there, and if you have any questions, reach out to us. Otherwise, if you have questions on this video specifically, leave a comment down below, and if you don't mind, leave a like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the next one.